Hello, welcome to Lemon Studios, where we talk anything and everything entertainment. I'm, of course, Lemon himself, Zeke Lemon, and this is my review for Monday Night Raw. But before we get into that, let's get the housekeeping out of the way. Shall I leave a like, comment below, let me know your thoughts on Monday Night Raw, and of course, hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. I would greatly appreciate it. Now, all that out of the way, let's get into the review, shall we? So, another episode of Raw is in the books. This was the first one post-Backlash, and we're on the road to Saturday night's main event / Money in the Bank, kind of. And Saturday night's main event is literally next week, and within that, this episode of Raw was fine. Like, it was definitely not bad. It wasn't great. It's definitely not memorable. I don't think anyone's going to remember this episode after it's over, pretty much. But for the most part, it was a fine watch. It was good to shut the brain off for 2.5 hours. And for what we got, overall, it was good. The one thing that I did appreciate about this episode of Raw was that at least every match had a finish. There was a 1, 2, 3 in every single one. Usually every week you get at least one no contest finish. Typically, you know, the run-ins and the distraction finishes, I have come to learn to expect that, but when we also add no non-finishes, it just becomes a little redundant. And yes, we do need to calm down a bit on the distraction finishes, especially when it comes to Judgment Day matches, because now anytime I do see Finn Balor, JD McDonough, Carlito, Dominic are in a match, I'm literally not even invested within the match anymore. Like, Finn Balor versus AJ Styles is a match that I should be excited for. I mean, I haven't seen it since, when was the last time they locked up? Was it when they did the Demon versus AJ Styles, when they had to call him in for the, not for the Fiend, but for Sister Abigail, Bray Wyatt, and then we're going to do Demon versus Abigail. I think that was the last time. That's the last time I can remember them going at it. I don't know if they went at it again after that. But, you know, it's been a minute since I've seen them lock up, so I should be excited for it. But, you know, when that match was going on, I got to tell you, I just wasn't fully invested because I just knew at some point Carlito, JD McDonough, and maybe Dominic will come out and help. And, you know, when you get to that kind of point when it comes to wrestling, especially when you know it's going to be a good match, I mean, hell, even the main event with Julia and Roxanne versus Io and Rhea, I couldn't fully invest into that match either because I was like, there's going to be a DQ. Someone's going to come out. Maybe we get Asuka and Kairi Sane coming back to return. Maybe Julia and Roxanne get a third member. But there's no way this ends clean, and it did, and that shocked me in a lot of ways. Overall, I didn't like the finish of the main event. I just don't think Roxanne and Julia should be losing this early. But then again, Io and Rhea are like a mega powers type tag team, so they shouldn't be losing either. And out of a non-finish and a finish, I am glad there was a finish. And the more that I sit on it, the more I'm okay with it, because Money in the Bank qualifiers start next week. You got to assume that Roxanne will be in it, and maybe Julia, maybe both of them are in the ladder match. I know we did that whole angle where they broke up on the internet, and that's interesting, to say the least. It does seem a little early to do it. But hey, if this gets them both on the ladder match, and then they could just be fighting each other, and then, you know, Julia goes after the IC title, or Roxanne has missed Money in the Bank. Because if I had to guess who's going to win, I think it's between Roxanne and Naomi, with the lead being towards Naomi, because I do think the women's Money in the Bank briefcase holder is going to be short this year, since last year the guy was the short reign, because God forbid we have 2 long Money in the Bank holders. I don't think there's ever been a time when both of them went long. Even when we had the 2 men's ones, one was always either cash in that night or later on. It's just the way of WWE. So yeah, as much as I would like Roxanne to get it this year, I think if she gets it, she should hold on for a while. And since Drew had it short last year, that means it's time for the women to have it short. And Naomi deserves the title now. So yeah, have her win Money in the Bank and have her cash in and automatically win the title. Maybe when Jade Cargill beats Tiffany Stratton at Money in the Bank. I'm assuming that's the plan anyway. But yeah, you know, like when that finish happened, I was just like, well, that sucks. They have yet to win on the main roster. But yeah, I'm sure they're both going to win their qualifier match. And then we just move on from there. But yeah, overall, you know, it was cool to see all 1, 2, 3 finishes throughout the whole entire show. I did like the opening segment with CM Punk, talking about how if he was to give a gun to anyone, it would be to himself, because he shouldn't have trusted Paul Heyman. Jey Uso warned him. Seth Rollins and Paul Heyman coming out. Really like all the lines that Punk was saying. When he was going, hey, penguin, he called Paul a fat snake. And then when Braun Breaker was coming in, he said, are you going to bark our day, little doggy? Are you going to bite? That was pretty cool too. And then, you know, Jay and Sammy coming out. Now we got the tag team match at Saturday Night's Main Event. And that just leads the question on what else is on that card, because we already have Jay versus Logan. And it's rumored that we're going to have R-Truth versus Cena. Then we have this tag match. So we have 2 more spots left after that. Nia and Tiffany is confirmed for the title, but will it be on the SmackDown or will it be at Saturday Night's Main Event? Io and Rhea now looking at the title together. I don't think we really need Io and Rhea on Saturday Night's Main Event. I think we save that for Money in the Bank. I think it's going to be beneficial more to a longer build. So maybe you give it to Becky and Lyra, because Becky did a hell of a promo this week. It was probably my favorite promo of the night, or it's probably my favorite promo of the month. So far, the way that she's really leaning into the Becky Hogan stuff, and it's really meta, and it just really hits, and it makes a lot of sense. This heel run for Becky, to me, is going to be much better than the Big Time Bex one, because there is actual progression, everything makes sense. She's actually getting the crowd to boo. Lyra's looking a lot stronger. Part of me does want Becky to win the IC title, but also part of me is like, yeah, she goes like 0-3. Bayley comes out, we move on to that feud, and this Bayley versus Becky, and Lyra faces again like a Roxanne or a Julia, and then maybe Lyra drops it then, just so that way the IC title just establishes with the future, because again, Becky is not the future, she is the now. As much as the now would benefit a mid-card title, I do like how the mid-card started staying towards the future for now anyway. But yeah, we also had New Day on commentary. That was always going to be great. But War Raiders versus the Creeds, fun match. But again, this was another distraction type thing. At least it was 1, 2, 3. The Creeds won, and now apparently this happened during the commercial break, because I watch in the U.S. Now we are going to get a triple threat match for the World Tag Team titles, because there was interference during the match, and I'm just like, Pierce, you have interference in every single one of your matches. How is everything not a triple threat in a fatal 4-way? And again, it's just, picking a lane and sticking to it. But yeah, that seems interesting. I'm glad the World Tag titles are at least on notice. That's really all this Raw was, man. Like, oh yeah, that seems interesting. Oh yeah, that seemed interesting. That was an interesting choice. It was just really, really interesting. There was not really a lot of, wow, boom, bang. Again, nothing truly memorable. We're just remaining on par for the course. Saturday Night's Main Events next week. We have our main two anyway, that we're focused on. Again, I would assume Lyra and Becky get that 3rd spot, and I would think Tiffany and Nia get the other spot as well for Saturday Night's Main Event. So there's 2 SmackDown matches, 3 Raw matches. Yeah, that seems about right. But yeah, again, overall, nothing to really complain about when it comes to this episode of Raw besides the normal. Yeah, there's too many distraction finishes within it, but easy watch. I had no problems within it. It was cool seeing Penta beating Chad Gable. We're just building up towards, I'm assuming, a mask versus mask match between El Grande Americano versus Penta. Maybe the Lucha Bros are together at that point. But yeah, like I said, there's nothing to really complain about when it comes to this episode of Raw. There's really nothing to super analyze either. I'm kind of just digging time at this point. So yeah, tell me what you think of this episode of Raw. Comment below, let me know. If you made this far within a review, please leave a like. I do greatly appreciate it. And hit that subscribe button as it helps me grow into my YouTube career. And until next time, guys, I'll see you here at Limit Studios.